Here's a balloon I filled with helium and air. As you can see, the balloon is going down, but without touching the balloon, I can get the balloon to attract to my hand and defy gravity and move up. So the Earth is really big, and it should have a lot of gravity according to the paradigm. But as you can see, my arm, which is way smaller than the Earth, has more attraction to the balloon using electrostatics and defies gravity. So we know we can isolate electrostatics using a Van de Graaff generator, as you see on screen. The apparatus creates electrostatics in the dome and can make objects float. Now, one thing that's never been done is the isolation of gravity to prove it's the cause of things falling and floating. So the fact that we can change the density of objects and use electrostatics directly to manipulate the cause proves that it isn't gravity causing things to fall.
You want to know what's crazy? The higher up we go, like when we fly in a plane, the colder it gets. Yet we're closer to the supposed heat source of the Earth, which is the sun. Now, we know that the closer you get to a heat source, the warmer it is. If there's a heat lamp 10 feet away from me and I start getting closer to it, the warmer it will get. Yet at an altitude of about 35,000 feet, it's about -40 outside. Much colder than the surface of the Earth. And the same goes for the bottom of the oceans. Earth's core is a supposed 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet the further we go down, closer to the heat source, the colder it gets. Now I know all the little brainwashed agents of the Matrix are gonna come in here and say, bro, go back to school, you missed science class. Go on Google and tell me that heat is distributed in different ways and all that stuff. But, you know, I can see things very clearly. My mind is not blind, and I understand that that is complete garbage. And everything they tell you is complete garbage. You believe in pseudoscience, I believe in real science. I really hope this one makes you think. Peace and love.
So all compasses point north. Well, what direction are we actually going in when we're traveling north? According to mainstream science, our Earth's solid inner core causes the magnetism of the planet, and it causes the compass to be attracted to this. Well, that doesn't really make any sense, does it? Because how is a compass supposedly pointing here when the magnetism is actually in the center of our planet? There's a clear logical fallacy in this, because the compass should be pointing to the center of our planet, not the top of our planet. What if I told you that the compass is actually pointing to the center because we live on a flat plane and north is always the center of our realm? And this makes a lot of sense because so many people have circumnavigated east to west, but no one can possibly circumnavigate north to south. Because east to west is just traveling around the magnetic field, and traveling north to south is actually leaving the magnetic field. And if we leave our known realm, we're actually just venturing beyond the ice wall. No one is allowed to venture beyond the ice wall. My friend took this video of the moon with an iPhone 15. Now that's pretty interesting because if it's 240,000 miles away, then how is this possible that he can see it in such great detail? Well, I have a theory.
It is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma, plasma phenomena, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958,
Plasma.
and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation. What will be the result if you are proved to be correct in your theories? The result will be profound and decisive because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. Soft landing attempts will all fail.
Yeah. So that was an interview from 1950s, 1960s before we officially landed on the moon. That scientist was explaining that the moon is actually plasma and not a ball of rock that we can land on. So what's up with the moon missions? That's really interesting. And what I have right here is a video of a lunar wave, proving that the moon is some sort of holographic projection within our firmament, and not a big ball of rock in outer space. In 1931, August Pickard decided to make some sort of weather balloon and fly it up into the atmosphere. He was in fact the first person to reach the stratosphere. And he discovered something very interesting. In fact, a popular brand made a commercial about it. So why don't we just dissect it a bit? August Pickard makes it up into the clouds, and then he sees a rather flat-looking horizon. But then there's something above that. The waters above. So he breaches through the waters above that the Bible speaks of. Now, why would they put something like this in a commercial, especially with such a popular brand? The masses saw this video. It's like they just like teasing us with the truth in plain sight. I asked ChatGPT to describe how the Earth looked when August Pickard reached the stratosphere. This is what August Pickard said. It seemed a flat disk with an upturned edge. Now ChatGPT is saying, well, maybe he didn't actually say that and he wasn't a flat earther. But we all know the truth.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't remember learning about this guy in history class. Well, if you don't know about this guy, well, let me tell you about him. This is Auguste Piccard. He was a Swiss physicist, inventor, and explorer. He was also known for his record-breaking hydrogen balloon flights, in which he studied the Earth's atmosphere. Also, he was the first man to reach the stratosphere in 1931, and he did it in this thing right here. And remember, this was years before NASA was created. Now, if you look him up, he was the first person to observe curvature of the Earth. Now, he wrote in his journal that the Earth, it seemed a flat disc with an upturned edge. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a pretty weird way to describe curvature of the Earth. He observed this 10 miles high, which is in the stratosphere. 35,000 feet is the common accepted height at which you can observe curvature of the Earth. And he was at 52,000 feet. Now, his observation reminds me of something. It seemed a flat disc with an upturned edge. Oh.
And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. What you see up top is a rocket scraping upon the firmament. And what you see right here is some people jet skiing in Miami. That's really interesting. It's almost identical. And have you noticed that all rockets follow an arched trajectory? They never just shoot straight up into the atmosphere and go out into outer space, but they all follow an arch. Why is that? Are they following the curvature of the Earth? Or are they avoiding something in the upper atmosphere? Perhaps the crystalline firmament. And I think Disney knows a lot about the firmament. Wow. But really, think about it. No rocket that we have ever seen in outer space has not been CGI. Every single rocket that we see in outer space on all of these videos on YouTube or from NASA are all CGI. Why? Perhaps because we've never left Earth's atmosphere. Perhaps because the Earth is the universe, like all ancient cultures spoke of.
I'm pretty sure everybody heard about this situation where ice fell through this person's home in Florida. 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, ice. The thing that gets me is, it didn't just fall inside the house. It's ice all around the whole yard.
And it just sounded like a big bomb? Like just went off or something? Wow.
But she said it was like this, really.
How big?
Like big. Bigger than our house.
Come on, y'all. Put 2 and 2 together. We all know that ice can leak from a plane. But not that big. Maybe hell-sized ice, depending on how bad the leak is. But come on, y'all. You seen how she just described it. It don't make sense.
There's been a biblical Earth awakening. God's waking people up to how he designed his Earth so that we know what's going on. Twice now when I've gone outside early in the morning, before the sky was covered, I saw the actual sky, which I've realized I probably haven't seen in a year or so. The bluest I've ever seen it, and what looked like clouds, but they weren't. They almost looked like defrosting. They were completely still, and it looked like if you've ever left a water bottle out in your car when it was cold outside and then it starts to defrost, it looked like that. And then there were gray and other clouds passing by, it seems. And this is gonna sound silly to a lot of people, and trust me, I get it, but this is how the movie Chicken Little starts. In a predictive program, kids movies, so that we're likely not going to see it, but it's there. What happens is Chicken Little starts seeing chunks of ice fall from the sky that are part of the sky ice, and at one point, one of the chunks of ice takes up one of his friends. That's the ice, and yes, it's a hexagon. So everybody is looking for the friend, and they eventually find him when there's an alien invasion. They go onto the UFO and they find the friend in like an experiment test tube thing, and he comes back and he's a little bit different. And then of course we find out that the aliens didn't mean harm and that they just came to visit. Also keep in mind, the word used in Revelation for hailstones actually translates to sky crystals. Remember, we don't fear the prophecy, we just get spiritually ready, and that's why I'm updating you guys. This is not meant to put fear in anybody, this is meant to spiritually prepare.
So now we have sky ice falling through people's roofs in Florida and out of the sky in California, but it's not your normal ice, allegedly. Now, they say that this is the stuff that they were trying to break apart that highest glass ceiling, and that they were actually trying to tunnel through, allegedly, in Antarctica. But they had a problem with it. Every time they would try to burrow through it, it would seal itself closed on the drill bit like a wound would. I have a couple of clips for you, but I have some questions. Because if it seals itself, let's just look at the clip and then we'll talk about it.
Now investigating mysterious 6-foot chunk of ice falling from the sky, slamming into a home in Palm Coast, Florida, north of Daytona Beach. The ice smashing through the metal roof of the home. Pieces of ice also found in the street. No one inside the home at the time was hurt. Authorities believe it likely fell from a plane.
Yeah, okay. Look at the color of it. If you watched any of those videos about where they were burrowing through what they thought was the firmament, it was that blue colored ice. It would heal itself like a wound. Do you think it's sky ice? Do you think that that ice in Florida fell from a plane?
Hello. Hola, Carlos.
Good morning, I'm Steve Inskeep. A prized possession in the Dutch National Museum is not what the curators thought. Back in 1969, the Apollo 11 astronauts visited the Netherlands, and the U.S. ambassador gave the Dutch Prime Minister what he said was a moon rock. No doubt it gave a warm feeling to the U.S. ally. But when an expert saw it in the National Museum, he said he wasn't so sure it was real. Geologists have now identified the moon rock as petrified wood. It's Morning Edition.
They go to all these different countries and they give, rocks to presidents and kings and queens and whatever. And then you guys finally decided to test it. And it turns out to be a fraud. That's very telling. We'll do a little quiz for you. Do you guys know about Apollo 11, where they landed on the moon? What part of the moon? Do you know, can you identify this region of the moon?
Dutch Eden.
What's that?
Dutch Eden.
Sea of Tranquility is where Apollo 11 was, right? The problem is that's not the Sea of Tranquility, nor is it the moon. That's Arizona, where they blew up portions of the desert of Arizona to look just like the region of the moon that we were supposedly going to. Now, looking at that picture, if I said, hey, this is the area of the moon where the Apollo 11 was to land, most of us wouldn't think anything of it. Most of us would go, okay, cool. not even realizing you're looking at a black and white photograph of Arizona that was blown up. If you don't believe me, you can go on Google Earth today and still see what's left of it after 50 years. Okay? Go to that location right there. Got Buzz Aldrin standing there in one of the test sites. See the mountain range behind him? Well, what do you know? It's on the moon, too. There he is in the corner, hopping along, like a bunny rabbit at half-speed film. This is a pretty telling picture.
What do we have there? Well, that's weird, isn't it? They're always putting it in our face. They always are, but this is just my opinion.
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.